Good morning and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to this very, very bright and beautiful day here in Brisbane. Doesn't get better than this. Is going to be sunny and bright for the rest of today. Well, once again, welcome after the big, huge weekend. There was so much that took place in the weekend. We'll bring to you reports on all of those. But today we have the news update and followed by our daily India report. So right now, let's take a look at the news in brief first before we go into the news in details.
Sweeping changes to Australia's universal healthcare system have been recommended in a major policy report out this morning. The Grattan Institute claims Medicare is no longer fit for purpose, suggesting doctors aren't currently meeting patients' needs. It wants clinicians, like nurses and physiotherapists, to be employed in teams to support GPs. Victorian Homicide Squad detectives are investigating the death of a teenager who was stabbed at St Kilda Beach in Melbourne's Bayside last night. Emergency services were called to the area about 7:30 after reports of people fighting. The 18-year-old was taken to hospital but later died. Lawyers for former political staffer Brittany Higgins have launched legal action against at least one Liberal minister in relation to her alleged rape inside Parliament House in 2019. On Friday, prosecutors abandoned the criminal case against Bruce Lehrmann out of concern for Miss Higgins' health. Mr Lehrmann had pleaded not guilty and has denied any sexual intercourse took place. Senator Linda Reynolds, who was Brittany Higgins' employer at the time of the allegations, has confirmed a civil claim has been launched. And cricket great Shane Warne and champion runner Ron Clarke have been elevated to legend status in the Sport Australia Hall of Fame. Warne was inducted in 2009 as an athlete member for his extraordinary cricket career, whilst Clarke was inducted in 1985 for his record-breaking achievements on the track.
So there you are, the breaking news for today, and wonderful to see that one is coming into that wall of fame as well. It is a very, very worthy the recognition. Well, right now, COVID-19 cases rise in the top end ahead of Christmas. So this is a bit of worrying news coming out of the top end.
Top-end shoppers are braving the heat ahead of Christmas, and COVID isn't on their wish list.
Hopefully I'll go out more than I did last year, because last year we didn't do anything. Obviously the cases were really high.
Data dating back to October shows COVID has been steadily circulating in the community.
It's not a surprise. I mean, COVID is here for a while.
But there's recently been a sharp increase in cases. The NT recorded 329 cases during the last week of November. By the following Friday, 750. The figures don't show the whole story.
The information, again, from wastewater testing is there's far more COVID in the community that's been reported.
The increase in cases has sparked mixed feelings in the community.
Common sense is the best thing for you. If you're sick, you don't go out.
I'm not worried about COVID anymore.
I just think it's part of life. We have to live with it, so we may as well get used to it and move on.
I think you just keep your eye on it and then take precautions as necessary, really.
Territorians have been mixing like this for months, benefiting from their relative isolation from the rest of the country. And in contrast to the last 2 years, as Christmas approaches, many say they won't be wearing masks or changing their plans.
Well, still the best defence against serious consequences for COVID is having vaccinations.
While it's no longer mandatory to report positive tests, the NT government is urging infected people to log their results online. Samantha Dick, ABC News.
So as I mentioned before, that is a bit of worrying news there. But if you look at all the people and what they said, that it is part of life now. It is here to stay. Let's just get on with it and do what needs to be done to take the necessary precautions and just life goes on. Many people are just saying that it's there, and what can we do about it apart from taking the precautions, getting the test done, and move on with life. Well, right now elections. The election findings are that people are disenchanting from the major parties. So they're more leaning towards the minor parties.
So the Australian election study has been tracking political attitudes and political behaviour for 35 years now, since 1987. And what we find is that there's many indicators of citizens' growing disenchantment with the major political parties. Political partisanship reached record lows in 2022. We also see a decline in the proportion of voters who consistently vote the same way in every election, reaching a record low of just 37% in 2022. And at the same time, we see more voters than ever considering changing their vote during the campaign. So we see many indicators of a more volatile electorate, a more unpredictable electorate, and that voters have detached themselves to a large degree from the major political parties.
So this doesn't necessarily mean that voters are going to abandon the major political parties. It's just that they might move around a lot more than was the case, because the parties always used to speak about the base, and that doesn't seem to exist quite the same way anymore.
Yeah, we see a lot of shifts in terms of the traditional bases for the major political parties, major shifts over time. But what was unique in the 2022 election is that this disenchantment with the major political parties was met with well-funded, well-organised independent campaigns that were targeted at areas of coalition weakness, including climate change, political integrity and gender equality. So although this disaffection has been there for some time, growing from election to election, that alone is not enough to see a different result. We also need to see voters presented with a viable alternative. And in this election, we saw that in at least some seats with the unprecedented election of 10 independent candidates to the House of Representatives.
Sarah, I wanted to ask about that and the so-called teal voters, to the extent that they are all a group. For some time, vanquished federal Liberals have been saying, well, they're really just Labor and Green voters. Is there some truth in that claim, do you think?
There is some truth to that claim, and there's another claim that these teal voters are disaffected Liberals. But what our data shows is that less than 1 in 5 teal voters were disaffected voters who had previously cast their ballots for the Coalition in 2019. Just over 50% had previously voted for Greens or Labor. So they were casting their ballots strategically for the candidate they thought had the best chance at unseating the incumbent Liberal.
So there you go, the swing away from the major parties, namely mainly Liberal, National, and of course going towards the minor parties. Climate change policies had something big to do with that. Well, right now, the other area that needs an overhaul is the Medicare.
So we would argue that our general fee-for-service system isn't broken, but has certainly been severely neglected by successive governments and is in strong need of repair. And that part of that repair is reforming it to make sure that we've got more flexible funding options to take best care of our patients, particularly those with chronic and complex disease.
Do you support the idea of having more physiotherapists, nurses, different disciplinary areas involved in a care, with a GP maybe leading a team doing that?
Certainly. So what we want to see is the best possible patient care, and that is in patient-centred, GP-led care teams, where fee-for-service, the way you normally see your GP now, remains the bedrock of primary care, but that we also have some flexible funding to make sure that we can bring in team members and work together for the best outcomes for patients. For example, to make sure that our patients with diabetes have ready access to diabetes educators, podiatrists, dietitians and our practice nurses to help support them in their care, and that GPs are supported to be those clinical leaders and have oversight of that well-rounded clinical care and make sure that everyone is getting world-leading, best possible general practice care.
This report also says that doctors are doing okay at the moment, and that the focus needs to be broader than just increasing payments. Do you agree with that, or do you think it's a combination of ensuring some more money goes to doctors too?
It's really a combination. That's certainly not the message we're hearing on the ground, where particularly in rural and remote Australia, doctors and medical practices are really struggling to keep their doors open. And that's a problem that we are seeing come into the city. We know that at the moment, bulk billing rates and the rebate back to patients is less than half of the cost of providing that consultation. So it does mean that practices out there trying to look after their most vulnerable patients are taking more than a 50% discount on their services. So we do need to see some support behind fee-for-service and behind those doctors' fees, but also that flexibility to make sure that we can bring in a broader care team and make sure that we've got that support of that true multidisciplinary care.
Excuse me. Yes, that primary care is very, very important. Well, right now, PM is facing resistance from the states to bid open in power, and the power prices play is the plague.
Locked in a power struggle, the nation's leaders at odds over plans to curb soaring energy costs as the Commonwealth races to finalise its much-anticipated market intervention.
This is a national problem that requires a national solution. You can't have every state and territory going off and doing their own thing.
The Commonwealth is set to cap gas prices, and it's asked the states to put a cap on coal prices too.
There are limits on what the Commonwealth can do by itself.
New South Wales disputes that, citing legal advice suggesting the federal government does have the power to cap coal prices. And the state's treasurer is telling them to get cracking.
The price of coal has risen from about $100 a tonne to about $600 a tonne, and that's feeding through to wholesale electricity prices.
We're awaiting the federal government to put forward some recommendations at National Cabinet. The Premier obviously will ensure that Queenslanders get a good deal.
The coal-rich states have a motive. If the federal government uses its powers to cap prices, it could be on the hook for billions of dollars in compensation for coal producers and even the states for a loss in royalty revenue. It'll all come to a head on Wednesday when National Cabinet is set to meet, and Labor is still hopeful it can achieve a consensus. Consensus building can be tough going. Just ask Linda Burney, who's responsible for selling the upcoming referendum for an Indigenous voice to Parliament.
The Calma-Langton report is absolutely fundamental, obviously, to what will be the final design of the voice.
That report proposed a national voice made up of 24 First Nations members elected by their peers to advise on policies and laws affecting them. But it's not yet clear if that's the model the government will embrace.
When people go into that ballot box to have their say on the referendum, they will be well informed.
The outcome could depend on it. Jane Norman, ABC News, Canberra.
The outcome will be interesting to see. Well, ladies and gentlemen, right now 25 degrees and sunny in Brisbane as we go to our daily India report.
Welcome to the Daily India Report that brings you reports, interviews, features and more on India and the Indian diaspora. External Affairs Minister Jai Shankar says that India will try to build consensus on global issues including Ukraine during its G20 presidency. Indian External Affairs Minister S. Jai Shankar has said that India will try to build consensus on global issues including Ukraine during its G20 presidency. He said India's endeavour will be to create consensus through consultation on key global issues. India on December 1st formally assumed the presidency of the G20 grouping for a period of 1 year. To mark the first day of India's presidency, a special event titled G20 University Connect Engaging Young Minds was organised in New Delhi, which virtually brought together students from 75 universities across the country. Addressing the event, Jai Shankar said India will look to emerge as the voice of the global south, comprising Asia, Africa and Latin America that has had to face the brunt of polarization and conflict in the developed world. He said that India will flag concerns on issues such as energy security, food security, access to healthcare, climate action and climate justice during its G20 presidency. Jaishankar said India's G20 presidency is taking place at a very critical moment in international affairs. It is particularly vital that world leaders focus on the right issues, especially those that affect the more vulnerable sections of the world. Jaishankar highlighted those harmonizing diverse interests is something that has been deeply ingrained in India's history and culture. Reliance Industries has emerged as the most valuable company in India as per the 2022 Burgundy Private Hurun India 500 list. Indian billionaire Mukesh Ambani-led Reliance Industries Limited has been named the most valuable company amongst the 500 most valuable companies in India as per the 2022 Burgundy Private Hurun India 500 list. RIL emerged as the leader, performing better than others on key metrics of valuation, revenue and profitability. Reliance Industries market valuation stood at 17.2 lakh crores, up by 3.6% as compared to last year. Tata Consultancy Services bagged the second spot on the Hurun India 500 list despite its valuation contracting 10.8% to 11.6 lakh crores. At number 3 position on the list was HDFC Bank with a valuation of 8.3 lakh crores. Another IT services major, Infosys, with a market value of 6.4 lakh crores stood 4th. Private sector lender ICICI Bank with a value of 6.3 lakh crores was positioned 5th on this most valuable companies list. The other 5 companies which marked their presence in the top 10 were Bharti Airtel, valued at 4.8 lakh crores, HDFC valued at 4.4 lakh crores, ITC valued at 4.3 lakh crores, Adani Total Gas valued at 3.9 lakh crores, and Adani Enterprises valued at 3.8 lakh crores. The total value of the top 10 companies remained flat at 72 lakh crores, equivalent to 37% of India's GDP and 31% of the total value of the 2022 Burgundy Private Hurun India 500, said the report. The companies are required to have a minimum value of 6,000 crores equivalent to $725 million in order to feature on the list. The companies in this list come from 36 cities across India led by Mumbai, Bengaluru and New Delhi. The 3 cities contributed to more than half of the 2022 Burgundy Private Hurun India 500 list. The financial services sector emerged as the biggest contributor to the 2022 list with 15% or 73 companies. The report also stated that nearly 3.9 lakh new jobs were created by the companies in the list in the last year. In COVAX, the world's first intranasal vaccine by Bharat Biotech has received both primary series and heterologous booster approval for restricted use in emergency situations. The world's first intranasal vaccine for COVID-19 COVAX developed by India has got approval from the Central Drug Standard Control Organization for restricted use in emergency situations in the age group of 18 and above. IN COVAX developed by Bharat Biotech has received both primary series and heterologous booster approval. Indian Minister Dr. Jitendra Singh announced this while chairing the meeting of the Societies of Autonomous Institutions of the Department of Biotechnology, New Delhi. The minister informed that the product development and clinical trials were funded by the Department of Biotechnology and Biotechnology Industry Research Assistance Council under the Mission COVID Suraksha program. The minister said that India's efforts through Mission COVID Suraksha have not only strengthened Atmanirbhar Bharat but also bolstered India's status as a worldwide vaccine development and manufacturing center. The minister also informed about the decision to merge the 14 societies of biotechnology institutes into a single society in the interest of convenient functioning, cost effectiveness and integrated working. India's defence exports have jumped over 6.5 times since 2014 on the back of increased private sector involvement, boosting India's Make in India policy in the defence sector. The increased involvement of the private sector in defence manufacturing in India has significantly contributed to the country's Make in India policy as India now looks towards increasing its defence exports. India, led by Prime Minister Narendra Modi, has been aggressively promoting Atmanirbhar Bharat through the Make in India policy in the defence sector. From a measly 1,940.64 crores in 2014 to 2015 to 12,814.54 crores in the last fiscal, Indian defence exports have witnessed a big leap and these are expected to cross 15,000 crores in the current fiscal. Rising demand, greater innovation, more conducive policies and a maturing ecosystem in the defence and aerospace manufacturing space are some of the factors leading to the growth in the sector. The ban imposed by India on a host of weapons and defence systems has also helped boost the domestic defence industry. India's phased import ban on 310 different weapons and systems during the last 2 years has helped to boost exports. One of the showcase weapons exported by India is the formidable BrahMos missile that has been purchased by the Philippines, which, like India, has a territorial dispute with China. India. Another Indian defence product that may emerge as a big ticket export item is the Tejas light combat aircraft. The US, Australia, Indonesia and the Philippines have shown interest in India's Tejas aircraft, while Malaysia has already shortlisted the jet under its acquisition program. IMD has predicted warmer winters in 2022 for northwest and northeast India, but colder months for peninsular India. According to the India Meteorological Department, the year 2022 will see a warm winter in the northwest and northeast India, but many parts of peninsular India will see a relatively colder winter. Above normal maximum and minimum temperatures are expected over many parts of northwest India and most parts of northeast India during this winter season, which means the frequency of days with maximum and minimum temperatures about 2 to 4 degrees Celsius above normal will be higher during the next 3 months. Below normal minimum temperatures are likely over many parts of peninsular India and some parts of central India and isolated parts of northwest India. However, the overall normal to above normal minimum temperatures are most likely over many parts of northwest Indian states like Punjab, Haryana, Delhi, Uttarakhand, Himachal Pradesh, Jammu and Kashmir, parts of Rajasthan and most parts of northeast India. A warmer than normal spring affected wheat output across India's northern plains in 2022. Global models consulted by IMD are showing a warmer than average winter for the northern parts of the country despite La Nina conditions. India is planning to invest $25 billion to upgrade shipping and ports infrastructure under the PM Gati Shakti National Master Plan. The Indian government is looking at giving a major push to shipping and port infrastructure through planned upgrades at an estimated cost of around $25 billion. According to a report, these planned upgrades to the sector will be prioritized for completion under the PM Gati Shakti National Master Plan. The ports at Paradip, Visakhapatnam and Kolkata are prioritized with the most projects. The PM Gati Shakti National Master Plan lays the foundation of the overall infrastructure in the country and provides an integrated and holistic path to the economy. It provides systematic multimodal connectivity to various economic zones for the seamless movement of people, goods and services across India. The government has set up the empowered group of secretaries to monitor the implementation of the Gati Shakti National Master Plan. This group includes secretaries of 20 infrastructure and economic user ministries and is headed by the Cabinet Secretary. There are 102 critical projects under Gati Shakti worth $7.67 billion to be completed by 2024. Out of 102 critical projects, Maharashtra has 31 projects, Karnataka 17 projects, Gujarat 16 projects, Andhra Pradesh 14 projects, Tamil Nadu, West Bengal 7 projects and Kerala Odisha 5 projects. According to Minister of Ports, Shipping and Waterways Sabarnanda Sonowal, the government has identified pipeline 81 public-private partnership projects worth $5.18 billion to develop berths and terminals across major ports by 2024 to 25. After an 8-day bullish rally, BSE Sensex tanked nearly 600 points on December 2nd amid weak global markets. Indian equity benchmark indices began to trade on a bearish note on December 2nd, halting their 8-day rally amid a weak trend in global markets. Sensex tanked nearly 600 points on losses in banks, RIL and Infosys till the last reports came in. The BSE benchmark had climbed 184.54 points or 0.29% to settle at 63,284.19, its fresh record closing high on December 1st. The Nifty had advanced 54.15 points or 0.29% to end at 18,812.50, its new record closing high. The teaser of Meghna Gulzar's upcoming film starring Vicky Kaushal in the lead role has been released. The biopic is based on the life of India's first Field Marshal Sam Manekshaw and is titled Sam Bahadur. The teaser of Meghna Gulzar's much-anticipated film Sam Bahadur has been released. The biopic is based on the life of the late Field Marshal Sam Manekshaw. Bollywood actor Vicky Kaushal will be essaying the role of Sam Manekshaw. Taking to his Instagram account, actor Vicky Kaushal shared the much-awaited teaser of his film and wrote 365 days to go, #Sam Bahadur in cinemas, 1st December 2023. Apart from Vicky, the film will co-star the Dangal duo Fatima Sana Sheikh and Sania Malhotra, who will be seen essaying the role of Indira Gandhi and Silu Manekshaw. The film Sam Bahadur is based on the life of India's first Field Marshal Sam Manekshaw and his work in the Indian Army. Sam was the first Indian officer who was given the rank of Field Marshal and his military victory on the 1971 Indo-Pak War led to the creation of Bangladesh. His career spanned over 4 decades and 5 wars. The film is directed by Meghna Gulzar and also stars Neeraj Kabi, Edward Sonnenblick, Richard Bhakti Clean, Saqib Ayub and Krishna Kant Singh Bandela, among others. The film will be released on 1st December 2023. That's all for this bulletin of the Daily India Report.
And thank you very much for that, the Daily India Report, Ankita. Well, ladies and gentlemen, right now it's time to look at some of the functions and events. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to talk to you about this blockbuster show that is going to be happening right here in Brisbane. You might not be aware about it, but it's a very good show that's going to be taking place here. Of course, there are Tanmay and others in Brisbane. That's going to be happening this Friday, pretty soon. So, not many days to go. So, if you haven't booked your tickets, just scan the code and, make sure that you're there. This will be taking place at the Brisbane Convention Centre, a great venue, a great row of artists and performers there. Australian Indian Radio and Brisbane Indian Times is now supporting this event. So, we'd love to see you all there. If you need any further information, please do give us a call or jump on our website. But scan that code. It will take you directly to the booking link. Book your tickets, and we'd love to see you all there this Friday. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's about all we have time for you in this segment today. And welcome to this brand new week, 25 degrees and sunny right here in Brisbane, as we get ready to go to press this week. And the Brisbane Indian Times will be out and about, available to you from your favorite outlet by Friday and Saturday this week. Saturday is the print date. So until tomorrow, it's goodbye from us. It's been wonderful having your company.